Have you ever gone through a string of strange misfortunes that just didn't make sense? Have you felt your energy drained, even when nothing obvious was wrong? And have you ever suspected that someone might be quietly sabotaging your life with no proof, just a persistent feeling? If those questions gave you even the slightest chill, it might be time to look at your life through a different lens, a sharper one that sees beyond coincidence and recognizes that recurring troubles, sudden relationship tension, or unexplained blockages might not be random at all. They might be signs of something much deeper, possibly modern witchcraft. Now, I know what you're thinking. This isn't about broomsticks or bubbling cauldrons. Today's witchcraft is far more subtle. It hides in smiles, in small gifts, in words that sound caring but carry hidden weight. The purpose of this video isn't to scare you. It's to wake you up, to help you recognize 5 clear but often overlooked signs that someone might be working spiritual interference into your life. And here's the thing, don't skip, don't fast forward, because if you miss even one piece, you might miss the key to protecting yourself. So if you're ready to take back your energy, trust your intuition, and truly see what's going on around you, then let's begin. This could be the most important awareness you've had in a long time. Stay close, we're diving in now. Have you ever felt like your life suddenly hit a wall? Not just once, but over and over, in a pattern that defies logic. Like everything was going smoothly until it wasn't. Your health, your finances, your relationships, all fine yesterday, and today, they're crumbling for no reason you can explain. This isn't just bad luck. This might be the first clear sign that you're under spiritual attack. Specifically, witchcraft. I know how that sounds. You're probably thinking, come on, we don't live in a fairy tale. But here's the truth. In the modern world, spiritual attacks don't come with broomsticks or potions. They come with precision, subtle, strategic. And if you're not paying attention, they can dismantle your life piece by piece while you're busy trying to make sense of it all. Let's break this down. The first sign that someone might be practicing witchcraft on you is a wave of repeated negative patterns that make no logical sense. Not just a bad day, not just Mercury in retrograde. We're talking about targeted chaos that shows up like clockwork, specifically in the areas of your life that once felt strong. Think about this. Maybe you've always been healthy, rarely get sick, and then out of nowhere you're bedridden every other week. Or your business was booming, and now every deal falls apart at the last minute. Or your usually peaceful relationship becomes a battleground, with fights that seem to appear from thin air. Even more bizarre, maybe your technology starts glitching exactly when you're about to sign a contract, make an important call, or speak your truth. Coincidence? Maybe once. But when it keeps happening, you need to ask, why now? Why here? And why like this? Witchcraft isn't always dramatic. In fact, it prefers subtlety. The goal isn't to scare you. It's to destabilize you. And one of its favorite tactics is disruption, breaking momentum, creating doubt, and keeping you off balance. So how do you spot it? Start a journal. Seriously, write down every time something strange, inconvenient, or painfully timed happens. What were you about to do? Who had just been around you? What was the goal that got blocked? Over time, patterns will appear. You might notice that the chaos always follows interactions with the same person, or shows up when you're on the brink of something big. It's not paranoia, It's pattern recognition. The Stoics taught that clarity begins with observation. And in a world where spiritual interference is often dismissed or misunderstood, your ability to track the unseen can be your greatest form of defense. Because once you connect the dots, you stop blaming yourself. You stop calling it just bad luck. And you start protecting your energy like your life depends on it, because it just might. So before you move on with your day, take a breath. Look around. Is the chaos in your life truly random, or does it have a rhythm? That question alone could be your first step toward freedom. Let's keep going. The next sign? It's the one that hits closer to your body and your soul. Stay with me. You ever wake up exhausted, even though you got 8 hours of sleep? Or maybe you walk into a room and suddenly your chest tightens, your stomach sinks, and your energy drops like a stone, but there's no clear reason why? That's not just fatigue. That might be a warning. See, the second major sign that someone might be using witchcraft against you is this: unexplained physical and emotional symptoms that don't respond to normal solutions. And I'm not talking about everyday stress or burnout. I'm talking about a level of fatigue that feels like your soul is being drained. A type of anxiety that shows up without a trigger, or depression that hits you out of nowhere, like a wave you didn't see coming. It's not constant. It comes and goes, usually when you're near specific people or in certain spaces. And here's the kicker: no doctor can explain it. Tests come back clean. Blood work looks fine. Medications don't help. Meditation doesn't help. And every attempt to just shake it off leaves you feeling worse, not better. That's not coincidence. That's interference. One woman I worked with, let's call her Linda, was the definition of high energy. She ran her own business, showed up for her community, took care of herself. Stayed active. But one day, it was like a switch flipped. She started needing naps in the middle of the day, struggled to get out of bed in the morning, and had this constant feeling of being watched, especially in her own home. Then came the emotional spiral. Panic attacks for no reason, recurring nightmares where she felt paralyzed, unable to move, while shadowy figures hovered around her bed. Her doctors ran every test in the book. All came back normal, but nothing felt normal to her. It wasn't until Linda started tracking these symptoms, writing down when they occurred, where she was, and who she had been around, that patterns began to emerge. Turns out, every time she met with a particular acquaintance, things got worse. Every visit, every phone call, every interaction seemed to trigger the next wave. And when she took a break from seeing that person, her energy returned. The nightmares stopped. Coincidence? Maybe. But here's what Stoic wisdom reminds us. Your body, your intuition, they're messengers. They notice the invisible long before your logic does. And in situations like this, what feels like paranoia might actually be your internal defense system sounding the alarm. So how do you respond? Start by documenting your symptoms. Track when they appear and who you've interacted with. Pay attention to the rooms, the objects, even the gifts you've received. And most importantly, trust your gut. Because when something is wrong, your body always knows before your brain can explain it. These symptoms, when paired with the first sign we discussed, form a clear pattern of spiritual attack. And once you see the pattern, you can start breaking it. Stay with me. The next sign is even more physical. It might be hiding in your home right now. Let's keep going. Have you ever walked into your own home and felt off? Like something in the air was heavier? Or a space that once felt comforting now feels unfamiliar? That shift might not be in your head. In fact, it might be coming from something hiding in plain sight. Because the third unmistakable sign that someone may be using witchcraft against you is the sudden appearance of strange objects or arrangements in your living space. And no, we're not talking about horror movie cliches. We're talking about very real, very deliberate items placed in very specific spots with the intent of anchoring negative energy into your life. These aren't dramatic or flashy. They're subtle. A small pouch of herbs tied with red thread tucked into the corner of your closet. A jar filled with nails, pins, or worse, strands of your own hair that you never remember losing. Powder you didn't spill. Coins arranged in patterns on your porch. Or maybe you start to notice that your family photos have been turned toward the wall, or that a gift someone gave you just doesn't feel right when you touch it. These things might seem harmless, random, but they're not. In many traditions, these are what's known as spiritual anchors, physical objects used to hold negative energy or harmful intentions in your space. And they're often placed in the areas you move through most often: your bedroom, your front door, under your bed, even in your car or your favorite houseplant. Anything you wear regularly or use often, your jewelry box, your makeup brushes, your keys, can be targeted. That's why noticing them is your first act of protection. Here's the #1 rule. If you find something suspicious, do not touch it with your bare hands. I can't stress this enough. Use gloves, paper towels, or tongs. Keep it far from your body and never bring it close to your face. These objects aren't just weird. They could be charged with energy that transfers through touch. Think of them like an invisible Bluetooth signal connecting someone else's intent to your personal space. And once you notice one, look around. Check the door frames, under your mattress, near mirrors, and anywhere you store personal items. These are the hotspots. You might be wondering, why would anyone go this far? The truth is, not everyone practices witchcraft with malicious intent, but those who do often aim to weaken you from the inside out. And the home? That's where you're supposed to feel safest. So when they can access your energy there, they gain power over your peace, your relationships, your success. Stoic wisdom reminds us that awareness is protection, that by becoming conscious of what enters your space, physically and spiritually, you begin to reclaim your control. So take inventory. Examine your home, your car, your belongings, and if something feels wrong, trust that instinct. This is about defending your space, your energy, and your freedom from influence that was never meant to be there. And remember, every item you remove, every strange pattern you catch, is a step toward cleansing what was never yours to carry. Stay grounded, stay alert. You're stronger than you think, and you're not alone in this. Let's keep going. The next sign? It goes even deeper, into your relationships. Have you ever had someone you trusted deeply, maybe a close friend, a sibling-like companion, someone you never questioned, suddenly pull away without warning? No argument, no betrayal, just distance. And no matter how much you try to reconnect, something keeps getting in the way. This is where things get serious. Because the fourth sign that someone might be using witchcraft against you isn't about objects or fatigue. It's about your relationships. Specifically, The kind of relationships that once felt solid, safe, and supportive, but now feel foreign, fragile, and fractured. One of the most sinister effects of negative spiritual influence is isolation. Not just loneliness, but intentional disconnection. People who used to understand you start misinterpreting your words. Text messages get twisted. Emails go missing. You hear, "That's not what you said," or "Why would you even say that?" And you're left stunned, because you know exactly what you meant. But somehow, the meaning never lands. I've seen it happen in real time. A client of mine told me about her best friend of 12 years who suddenly became cold. One week they were planning a trip together. The next, her messages were being left unread. Mutual friends were distant, and no one could give her a clear answer as to why. It wasn't just awkward, it was eerie. And when she traced it back, she realized the change started right after she'd rejected the subtle manipulation of a new person in her circle. Someone who, on the surface, seemed harmless, even charming. But behind the scenes, things were shifting. Gossip, distortion, and emotional interference. This is what targeted spiritual energy does. It severs your lifelines. Because when you're isolated, you're easier to influence, easier to manipulate, easier to control. You second-guess your memory. You doubt your worth. You begin to wonder, maybe it is me, but it's not. These sudden disruptions are rarely random. And when multiple trusted relationships begin to unravel at once, when the people you love can't seem to hear or see you clearly anymore, it may be a sign that something deeper is at work. So what can you do? First, document everything. Keep a journal of conversations, text exchanges, and timing. You'd be surprised how clearly patterns emerge when you start tracking what doesn't feel right. Second, resist the urge to retaliate or explain everything. When communication is spiritually distorted, logic won't always land. Third, rebuild your grounding. Seek reconnection through face-to-face time with those you trust, where possible, because spiritual interference is strongest through distance and technology. And most importantly, remember this: if people you've known and loved begin acting out of character, that behavior may not be coming from their true self. It may be a symptom of something influencing them. Compassion, awareness, and boundaries are your best defenses here. Your tribe matters, but your peace comes first. And the moment you start protecting that peace, you'll notice who was meant to stay and who was only ever passing through. Let's keep going. The final sign is one you can't see with your eyes, but you'll feel it in your bones. Stay with me. You ever walk into a room that used to feel familiar, warm, safe, even sacred, and suddenly feel like the air is heavier? You pause. Your chest tightens. Your skin gets goosebumps, even though the temperature hasn't changed. And deep down, you know something's off, even if your mind hasn't figured out why. That right there is the fifth sign that you might be the target of witchcraft. Your intuition is screaming, and your spirit feels disconnected. This isn't paranoia. This is instinct, and it exists for a reason. Intuition is our first defense system. It's the whisper before the shout, the gut feeling that shows up before evidence does. You might not be able to explain it logically, but your body feels it. You feel watched when you're alone. You feel drained around specific people, even though they're all smiles. You can't sleep, and when you do, your dreams are darker, more vivid, more disturbing than usual. It's the same person, the same shadow, the same presence, over and over. I remember someone once telling me, it wasn't just that I felt tired. It was like my soul couldn't recharge anymore. That line stayed with me because it's a real, recurring experience for those under spiritual attack. And the thing is, it doesn't always feel like fear. Sometimes it feels like fog. You sit down to meditate or pray, and your mind races. You try to ground yourself, but the stillness never comes. It's like the connection's been cut, like your inner peace is static-filled. These are not coincidences, they're alerts. When you feel like someone is pulling energy from you, when your intuition goes quiet around a specific person, when your spiritual practices, things that once brought peace, suddenly feel blocked, those are not small signals. Those are signs your boundaries are being crossed, spiritually, emotionally, energetically. So what can you do? Start by honoring the signals. Journal your dreams. Track how your body feels after each interaction. Pay attention to who you feel lighter with and who you feel drained by. Your nervous system is way smarter than your logic when it comes to energy. Trust it. Strengthen your intuition like a muscle. Before you enter a space, visualize a shield. Before you speak, ground yourself. After being around someone who unsettles you, cleanse your energy. Water, salt, sound, prayer, it's not superstition, it's preservation. Remember, intuition doesn't need evidence. It just needs your respect. And the moment you stop brushing off those whispers as just being sensitive is the moment you start reclaiming your power. Because energy doesn't lie, and your spirit has been trying to speak up long before now. So don't wait for the final straw. Don't let discomfort grow into damage. Let awareness be your protection, and trust that sometimes knowing is more than enough to change everything. Let's keep going. Because when you recognize all 5 signs together, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. There's something powerful that happens the moment you become aware. The fog begins to lift. The confusion starts to clear. And what once felt like random chaos suddenly reveals a pattern. And that's when you realize awareness is your first shield. Because the moment you recognize the signs of spiritual attack, the spell starts to break. You're no longer just reacting. You're reclaiming your space. And now that you've seen the signs, now that you know, you have a choice. You can pretend it's all just coincidence. Explain away every whisper of intuition, and keep letting your peace erode piece by piece. Or you can step into your power and say, not anymore. That's where protection begins, not with fear, but with decision. There are real, grounded ways to guard your energy. Start simple. Salt at entryways creates a boundary. Burn sage or Palo Santo to reset the energy in your home. Carry protective stones like obsidian or black tourmaline. They're not just spiritual tools. They're centuries-old symbols of grounding and protection. Practice meditation daily, even for 5 minutes, and visualize a shield of light around your body before walking into challenging spaces. These practices aren't superstition, they're strategy. They don't make you paranoid, they make you prepared. Because the truth is, you can't always prevent spiritual warfare, but you can control your response to it. You can build a home inside yourself that's so grounded, so well guarded, that no outside energy can shake your center. That's what Stoic wisdom teaches us too. You don't control the world. You control how you show up in it. And when you show up anchored, clear, and alert, no darkness stands a chance. Here's the bottom line. You are not helpless. You are not crazy. And you are not alone. Your intuition is valid. Your peace is worth defending. And your energy is yours to protect. If you've made it this far, you're already doing the hardest part, paying attention. Now take the next step. Cleanse your space. Set your boundaries. Guard your spirit with clarity and intention. And always remember this: you can't stop every attack, but you can become so grounded in your own light that nothing touches your soul without your permission. You are your own guardian. Stand tall in that truth, and don't let anyone or anything shake it.